The views and opinions expressed in this podcast are those of the hosts and guests and do not necessarily reflect the official policy or position of the podcast platform, its affiliates, or even the hosts. The information provided is for general informational purposes only and should not be taken as legal, financial, or professional advice. The host and guests are not liable for any errors of omission in the content, nor for any losses, injuries, or damages arising from the use of the information provided. Listeners are encouraged to seek professional advice relevant to their specific circumstances.
Are we live? What's good, great people? I am Ezel Moon, and I have a special guest in the building today. Hailing from East St. Louis, poet, writer, my man. You should have seen him with Black Men's Wear delivering some words that, kind of have me thinking about my own Phoenix cycle. My man Kalvin J shall be joining us for a frank conversation. I want to give a big shout out to WSAN Radio for allowing us to stream through their airwaves, and to all of you guys for tuning in. Bring him on up, my man. This is Kalvin J.
What's going on? What's going on? How everybody doing this evening?
How you feeling, brother?
I'm blessed, man. I can't complain. How about yourself?
Man, I'm well. I'm not gonna lie to you. I have a bunch of feelings that I am addressing, in real time because I was going through not just your current catalog, but your older work, and quite a few of those lyrics, are very, very introspective. I also was looking at your book and the, reading about the description of your book, which we will get into. And once again, I'm like, wow, very, very, very deep and introspective, man. Before that, though, I kind of want to start lighthearted real fast. Is that cool with you?
Hey, man, I'm gonna let you lead. I'm following.
All right. Listen, let's say you win the Mega Millions, right?
Mm-hmm.
Do you take the lump sum, or do you take the or do you take the, hey, pay me out in increments?
I'll take the lump sum.
Why?
Tomorrow's not promised, so you could take the payouts all you want. Life happens. You never know what may happen in a week or a month or 2 months. Go ahead and give me that lump sum. I can decide how I want to use it, how I want to invest it, how I want to store it, and then I can go from there. And yeah, just give me all that money up front.
My thing is, you're not gonna be able to spend all of it, right?
Right.
At the same time. So if you know for a fact that they're gonna pay you in increments, like for myself, right? I was thinking about this, right? I was like, well, I agree. I'm gonna take the lump sum, right? I'm with you on that part,
right.
But I'm also over here trying to really think about the other side of it, because look, when I get the lump sum, I'm gonna put it in a trust, have the trust, and live off the interest, right?
Right.
Because once they invest it, well, guess what? I know for a fact that every month I'm getting $5 to $10 million.
Right.
I can't spend $5 to $10 million in a month, right? You can't spend $5 to $10 million in a month.
You can.
You know what I'm saying? Now, if you can, hey, more power to you, brother. But look, if they know for a fact that they're gonna pay me out already, like they already have a plan that, oh, hey, we can pay you out in increments, then why would I not take that?
I'm just always gonna go with the lump sum for that when we talk about generational wealth. Just give me that money. If whatever I don't spend, this, if I'm married at the time, so it's my wife. If I got kids, it's left to my kids. But that money is already in hand. It's not a hassle of, having to worry about if it continues to get distributed, how does it get passed around, so forth and so on. So I just rather have it all, and then I can make the decisions. Had the conversations with the right financial advisors on, trusts, investments, and even with trust and accounts, you can structure money to, even when you have it, you can store it to where you still getting paid out monthly or biannual or however that is. So I just rather be able to control that more so than somebody controlling it for me.
I respect that. I have that actually kind of leads me into something, that honestly been, asking my friends about.
Mhm.
And it's kind of been something where like I measure, kind of like a measuring rod for, you know, the people that are in my life. Cause I know for a fact that I'm gonna be a billionaire. That's gonna happen, right?
Right,
My thing is, I also know who I will be when the money gets here, right?
right.
When money becomes nothing to you, right? Who do you believe that you will become?
Um, I mean, for me, I've never been a materialistic or a superficial person. So if I had the money, I think my big concern is, making sure that first off, my mother and my grandmother are put in a good situation. Whether it's, I mean, it's just like in any black guy that gets to the league or anything like that. You always want to make sure your parents are good. So that my father passed some years ago. So all I have left is my mother and my grandmother. So making sure they get straight. Um, doing some things financially for myself, and then anything after that is just being financially smart with how to spend that money. So I don't think, some people, they always say money doesn't change you, it just magnifies who you truly are. And so I've just never been a materialistic, superficial person. Now, I'm not saying there's some things that I'm gonna get for myself as like a reward and things like that, but it's not one of those things where I'm just going to spree and have all this Louis and Gucci and
Yeah,
designer this and designer that. That's never been my thing. I'm very simple when it comes to
absolutely.
life and just living.
Man, it's funny that you say that, man. I'm not gonna lie to you. I still feel like I will still be a guy that says, "Time out. That costs how much?"
I'm the same way. It got to make sense, man. It got to make sense.
It's gotta make sense.
It's like when people ask, I've been in Dallas since 2016, and people
Right.
ask where would I want to move. And I lived in LA for 9 months before I moved to Dallas. And I was like, I'll never move back to California. Like, only place I would ever live is Dallas, or Texas, Florida, Tennessee. Like, if it's a state that has state income tax, I'm not living there.
Ooh.
And that's how I look at it. I always look at from a money standpoint, am I getting the most bang for my buck? And I apply that to a lot of levels in my life.
And look, man, it makes sense, man. It makes sense. Um, it's so funny that you say that because I remember me growing up. I've watched my predecessors, like my father, my mother, just be very, very conscious about how they spent their money and what they wanted to splurge on, right?
Right.
And so for me, I've always be very real with you. I've never ever been like the Jordans person. You know what I mean? I've never been into like kicks like that because
Yeah.
it's shoes, bro. Hey, listen, it's shoes. It's gonna go on the ground. It's gonna get dirty at some point in time.
Hey,
I'm not gonna
I'm
be
a, I'm
constantly
a
trying to
I'm a
clean it.
Jordan guy, so I'm
It's
from
shoes, bro.
I'm from an area, man. Jordans was like, you grew up with J's. Like, I have baby pictures of, my mom having me in Jordans when I was a little kid. It's just a culture thing from where I'm from. It's J's. Like them
East St. Louis is Jade out there.
East St. Louis, yep. East St. Louis, St. Louis. It's a Jordan city. So
Mm.
I'm always that. I don't care about them as much as I did, but it's certain Jordans that come out that I gotta get.
You got to get
I
them.
gotta get.
Everybody got that one thing that they splurge on. Well, I ain't gonna lie to you. Well, look, let me be. I'm not finna. I'm from Houston, Texas, and
Okay.
Nigeria. So I got to make sure that my people back down in the H know. Look, I had my pairs because they gonna see this. They gonna see this. They'll be like, he came to school one time and every day for 2 weeks he had a new pair. That was because something happened in my life at that point in time. So I just got to make sure I put that out there because
I get your disclaimer. I
you
feel
gotta get my disclaimer, man. Because if your family see this, they be like, this. So I want to jump into like one of my actual questions that I have for you, and your gift will make room for you.
right.
Oh, can you walk me through, how that's taking place in your life at this point versus when you first, you know, entered into the realm of poetry?
I think with that's just a saying that my grandfather always said to me as a kid, and I speak about it on the album to where
Yeah.
I never really knew where it came from until I got older, and I like looked it up and I realized it was Proverbs 18:16. In regards to poetry, I mean, if I just think back to my journey to when, I said I wanted to do poetry and I reached out, one of my frat brothers knew that. And so he connected me with Masterpiece, who at that time I didn't know who she was. And we ended up connecting at a diner, and she ended up, talking me and taking me under her wing. And I mean, she's a big, big name in this poetry space. She's been doing it forever. She's been on the biggest stages. She was on my last album, Fruition. So being in front of her, then being on certain stages and busboy and poets, or with her connecting me to different people that allow me to, be on their stages. Friends that I've made, Wayne Henry, Mac Woods, Prince Powell, like I've been able with this gift to be on some stages and meet some great people that not only have poured into me and given me some wisdom, but we've been able to become friends on top of that. So it's opened up a lot of doors for me to get me to this point of creating this album and making this body of work.
Amen. Um, you mentioned your album, and I just want to just hit this quote real fast. Poetry be my apology, be my obituary, be my eulogy to every demon I couldn't kill. I I stopped and I actually stopped and I thought about that because I think about the things in which I face personally in my own life that
Right.
and the demons that I have the hardest time actually eviscerating from my life. And I wonder for you, what demons do you feel remain, and how do you kill them today? You know, um,
Yeah. I think that, when it comes to us as black men, right? They always say, black men need therapy. And I think we do. There's a lot of things that we go through in life that, we learn to compartmentalize and just move on with. I think for me, the biggest thing that I dealt with that caused me to make this album, and even in previous works, but specifically this album, was just survivor's guilt.
yeah,
Well, coming from where I come from and seeing the things that I've seen growing up and seeing the things I've seen within my family, and then you think about I'm 35, I'm in a good space in life, I've made it out of certain situations. You really deal with that survivor's guilt or that survivor's remorse of, what's so special about me that God allowed me to make it out of certain situations of when I could have went left, I end up going right. When there were certain situations and I end up leaving before something actually happened. Like you just think about all those things and just it weighs on you, about the position that you're in versus people that that either got locked up or in jail or just got caught in the traps of the city back home. It's something that just weighs on you, and I think that was the big thing that I was really tapping into in fruition, especially the first half of it. That's where a lot of my poems, my subject matter comes from. It's just kind of reflecting on those different moments and different people that I've been able to come in contact with growing up, and not only telling my story, but also telling their story as well.
so it seems as if like one of the if we were to name one, it's kind of like that imposter syndrome, which is interesting because us being from the same 89 or 90.
90,
Ooh,
90.
90, yes sir, yes sir. Um, my man. It's so being from the literally from the same era, and coming up in places where you watch your friends go in and out, you watch them make decisions that lead to the grave, you know, you make it out of these spaces, and you see that you question, because that's the feeling that I was dealing with while listening to your album, that
Mm,
imposter syndrome, that is part of that survivor's guilt.
yeah,
um because when you said it, like you just now when you said, what's so special about me, we can't see we can't see it, right? I feel
right.
like it's like we're so close to the sun that we're not even recognizing that we are the sun, and that we are the light that is shining in other people's lives. And so and it takes other people literally saying to us that, hey, no, you the reason why you're here is literally through that just one small interaction that you had with me, through that one small interaction you had with my child, through that interaction that you had with these people, through this video that you made. It's that right there is the thing that is why you're still here, because it inspired this. It's like that ripple of like that pedal that
Right.
goes into the water that makes a ripple that makes a tsunami on the other side of Earth. You
Right.
know what I mean? Um, so how are you recognizing that you are the light? What interactions have you had recently that show you that you are the thing, you are the brightness inside of other people's lives?
I don't think I've ever necessarily thought about it like that. I think for me, when I go home and I kind of see like my mom, my grandma like proud. I mean, especially in creating this album, when I did East Boogie Summer and I went back home and I recorded that video. Being able to have everybody come on the block that I grew up on, which is my grandmother's house, and seeing my grandmother kind of, she's never seen me perform live. She only gets the videos that I seen her and my mom once I post them on social media. So for her to kind of see like her baby boy is actually like he's actually doing something with this, and with her knowing how close me and my grandfather were, and how close I am with how close was with both of them, or I am with her as well. I think that's that, and then seeing my mom's face during that day, that was like the biggest thing that I reflect on, because not a lot positivity happens on that block or in that space, and so kind of for a couple hours of bringing light, that's been a big joy to me. I think within my poetry, because of the stories I tell, I think when people hear poetry, they always think of Love Jones and
Yeah.
all these love poems and erotic poems, and trying to use poetry as a way to woo women. And it's not like, yes, I have like a love poem, like probably one, maybe two, but a lot of my poems are telling stories. And I think my biggest gratification is when I have other guys come up to me after like I perform a set, and they say, bro, I relate to that poem. Like I feel this poem, because it's really telling stories of things that we as black men growing up in the inner city really have to go through. When you're seeing somebody killed, when you're seeing dead bodies on a regular growing up, when you're seeing family members strung out. Um, on my first album, there's a story, not story, but a poem called Miseducation of KJ. And I tell the story of how like my grandfather raised me, right? And my grandfather, like I had family members that was into drugs or whatever. And my grandfather was just always kind of like the godfather of the family. So he would take me around certain environments, around dope houses that my cousins was at, or we'd be around family members. It was like, so I grew up immersed in all these stories and in this environment. So when I'm able to write these poems and I'm able to craft these poems and tell these stories, it's really pulling from things that I've grew up around, seen, and stories that I can pull from other people who I had to experience. So I think for me, that the gratification and like me knowing I'm doing something right is actually hearing other black men be able to say, hey, I relate to that poem. Like you was talking to me. I feel that. Like that's my biggest gratification out of pretty much everything that I do. Outside of my mom, my grandma being proud, from a from an audience standpoint, from a consumer standpoint, that's my biggest gratification. Know that like I'm doing something right, and I'm not just doing poetry as a way of clout or to woo women or anything like that. Is really just trying to really impact lives.
I wholeheartedly respect that. I actually wanted to ask you, walk with me. That
Hmm.
first portion was because I was thinking that first part was that powder, right?
Hmm.
So I was struggling trying to understand the second part. Who's Tracy?
So you're right. The first part is talking about drugs. So when I say Drew G, it's pretty much drug broken up into a name.
Gotcha.
Second part, when I say Terry Simmons,
Cheers.
I my cousin asked me about that. She was like, I asked my mom, who's Terry Simmons? Because I'm talking about like dating my aunties and dating families and stuff like that.
Mhm.
And Terry Simmons is just cemetery spelled backwards.
Man,
And so it's me. The second part is really talking about, again, the death that I've seen growing up, having friends that I went to pre-K and grade school with being killed before they turned 21, having multiple friends after 21 get killed. So it's just really the cemetery talking to me saying, hey, you might as well just come to the cemetery anyway. Like everybody else now got
yeah,
killed. You're
because
gonna be the next person. So it's really the cemetery kind of taunting me in a
yeah,
way of saying like you're gonna be next. So that's who Terry Simmons is. It's the cemetery spelled backwards.
I said Tracy, I apologize, man. That's what I was struggling with. I'm like, who is
Yeah,
man? You bodied that.
I
Like for
appreciate
real,
it, bro. Thank you.
you bodied that. But and it still gives me goosebumps. Like even right now, man. For real, like you did that one. Um, I just want to take this time really quickly to jump into a quick commercial break. Y'all don't touch that dial. We'll be right back after these messages. Commercial.
WSAN Radio, the soul of America and beyond. Join DJ Ron G and the WSAN crew every day for the Ron G Morning Show, Funk Friday, and Gospel Brunch Sunday. From local heroes to national guests, WSAN Radio connects you to the pulse of our community. One song, one story, one soul at a time. WSAN Radio, where music, motivation, and movement come together. Streaming live, follow us on Facebook, YouTube, and WSANradio.com.
Got me together with this two-piece. It's the good leggings, no see-through business.
And we are back, man. Shout out to everybody that decided to get a commercial with us. You are, in fact, reaching out to a natural born audience. Let's get into this book, man. Let's get into this book. What inspired you to actually to step into the world of being an author?
When I wrote Front Row Seat, so Front Row Seat is my book I released in 2017. For me, it was from 2012 to 2015, 16. I dealt with a lot. My parents are split. There was a whole like issue with that on why they split with my father. And so front row seat was just kind of the thing of like I had just a lot of emotions weighing on me, from his passing to them splitting to just everything just in life in general. And so at that moment, like a- again, I wasn't new with poetry. I had always written, but front row seat is definitely different than how I go about my poetry now. But it was just a book for me to be able to get everything out. I think with everything that surrounded my life from 2012 to 2016, there was a lot of kind of chatter, a lot of ways that stories were construed about certain situations. So front row seat was to give people a look at my life, like growing up, and then also for me to kind of clear the air with everything between my mother and my father, between my father passing, and just kind of take everybody through the ride of all the emotions that I went through during that. So it was a hard book to write. Um, I was very emotional writing a good portion of it just because a lot of things were so heavy, and I did my best to kind of put everything, not sweep under the rug, but kind of put it behind me or suppress it so I didn't have to think about it or dwell on it. But in writing that book, it was me having to put myself back in those same situations and go back to those exact moments and to really tap into those emotions to be able to write it and to be able to tell the story at the same time. So that's where the title of Front Row Seat came from. In my mind, was just kind of just putting everybody in that same space that I was in during that time.
What do you feel like are some characteristics about your father that you see reflected in your actions today?
Oh, I mean, I look like him, so I see that every time that I look in the mirror. That it's scary at times. Um,
Wait, you say it's scary, but why?
it's scary because of just how much I do look like him, and he's not here. So just thinking about again of where I'm at when we talk about survivor's guilt, that's part of it too. Is being able like I'm here, I'm 35, I'm accomplishing a lot of things in my life, but my father isn't here. But I see him every time that I look at a picture or I look in the mirror, or my mom or my grandmother may say, "You look like your dad." Like you kind of you have those emotions, so it is rough at times. Um, so I think that's what I mean by when I say it is scary.
Mm. And so, but what and any other characteristics that you feel like you may have?
I think I'm very, very calm and reserved, like my dad. Like my dad was just very chill. Like now, if you got him to a point to where he needed to get active, I guess he would. But it was still like a calm. Like you would never like know. It's just he would just go ahead. My dad was he was very crafty. He would get stuff done where it was like yard work, building stuff around the house. Like I don't know how to build anything, but like the same stuff they taught me with cutting the grass or with me having a house, like there's certain stuff that happens around the house that like I kind of get my Bob the Builder thing, but that's from me seeing my dad take care of a lot of stuff at the house as well. So I would say his demeanor, his work ethic, seeing how he hustled, where it was preach, clean the church, cut my grandmother's yard, cut my big mama yard. He would just always be on the move, like taking care of business. So I think that that's the big thing, and just my love for sports and being an athlete. So I think those are the biggest things I know I'm like my father.
Most definitely. What about your mother?
My mom, I guess my mom, and my dad in the same way. Like I have a very low tolerance for nonsense. Like I get annoyed very quick with
Yeah.
nonsense, and in that sense, they both are like that.
Yeah.
Um, my mother was very compassionate and still is, but like think about it as a child, like my mom would really like gravitate to my friends, like even from me being a little kid to even me going through high school, me going through college. Like my mom was just very warm and compassionate to people. So I think that's a big thing that I've picked up from her is like I'm very when it comes to my friends, my family, or even if you may be my brother and you got your friend that's coming over. I treat him like family. That's just how I grew up. That's how my mom was. That's how my family was. So I think that that's a big thing that I picked up like my mom.
I think that something that you said in there that's very, very, very powerful is the fact that that compassion. Because in this world that we live in today, it seems like it's so much easier for us to still be on that. Hey, forget everybody else. We just gonna focus on self. And we lose a bit of that compassion, that empathy for our fellow man.
Yeah.
Um, but I definitely, I wholeheartedly respect exactly what it is that you're doing and how you carry yourself, man. Even in your demeanor. Thank you so much for representing the '90s well, by the way.
Hey man, there's only one way to represent the
Only
'90s.
one, only one really representing the '90s. Uh, but yeah, no, I want to jump into really quickly some of the more fun aspects of your life, right?
Mhm.
What do you feel like has been the best stage that you've been on? Um, and what lesson did you come away from that stage with about yourself?
I think the best stage that I've been on, and the one that like really meant the most to me was when I was on the Flow stage, again, Masterpiece. That is a show that she's curated. Man, I've been in Dallas 9 years.
Yeah.
I think it's like maybe 10, 11, 12, some years like that. But she's very particular about who she lets on that stage. And so in 2019, she asked me, not 2019, 2020, it was January 2020, right before COVID hit. She asked me to feature on that stage. And I was on that stage with, you know, more well known poets than myself at that time. And I was able to hold my own, deliver solid work, performance that I felt comfortable with. So that was the stage that really like stood out to me because at that point it was like, okay, yeah, we're good. I think on top of that, right about now in Houston, right about now is one of the biggest stages in the country. And so I went down there and I did a feature. I think it was about a 25, 30-minute feature. So that's a one-man show. There's not, it's open mic and then it's you. It's not you and then you have two other features coming behind you. It's literally you curating a show for a whole audience, and you have to be able to keep them engaged for the whole time of that performance. So with me, being on that stage, and having not one but two of my poems going viral from that show, that was really big for me. Especially seeing the comments and seeing, the response from the people that maybe watched it virtually or maybe they were there and comment about the poem. I had Cedric Entertainer comment on one of my poems from that show. So for me as an individual, that was on top of Flow. That was the other big stage for me that like it was that okay, yeah, I'm here type of feeling when it comes to poetry. So I think those are probably the two biggest stages and two biggest moments that I've had within my poetry career, performing wise.
Calvin, what fraternity you representing?
The Kappa Alpha Psi Fraternity Incorporated,
And when did you go and when did you cross again?
all 13.
You from a good era.
Yeah,
What number are you?
Ace Club,
And what's your line name?
Casanova.
That's fine. That's fine. That's fine. Name. That's fine. Name. That's fine. Name. Let me ask you a question. What? How do you feel like you represent your fraternity in your interactions nowadays?
Um, I mean, I just celebrated 12 years in September.
Yeah.
So I mean, I'm old head status. I don't be strolling and doing too much unless it's Founders Day or something like that. But I think far as me, as far as representation, like if I come in contact with, a brother and he may be new to the city or somebody that I just met, I always try to have the doors open for communication or plug them with resources that I may have. Just because brothers have done that for me in my 12 years that I've been part of the fraternity. I think that even when I moved out to LA, I had two brothers that I met through a Facebook group that showed me around LA, took me to spots in Santa Monica, took me to Super Bowl parties, and just really showed brotherhood to me. I was 3 years in at that time. So being young within the frat and being able to see these older brothers, open their arms for me, and show me around, that's something I've always tried to do with brothers that's younger than me or even brothers that's my age or older. Just always trying to be open, trying to be resourceful, trying to be brotherly as much as I can. So
Man, I love the fact that I love hearing these positive stories about people and their interactions with their fraternity or
mm.
or their interaction with their sorority. And big shout out to the ladies of Sigma Gamma Rho on your Founders Day today. Um, I love hearing these positive stories because of the fact that when people come back and they watch these and they hear your story and they hear about your interactions, I hope that even if it may not be my fraternity, which is the Omega Psi Phi Fraternity Incorporated, but I do hope that they are inspired through this to be like, okay, you know what, man, I think I'm gonna join Team 1911. Whether it be in
Absolutely.
you know what I'm saying, whether it be in January or November, I'm with it. My brother, is there anything that I didn't ask you about that you wished I asked you about?
uh No, man. Like I said, you leading up and I'm following. I think I appreciate you asking me about um Walk With Me because I think people listen to it and if they don't hear the explanation behind it or how to connect it, the first two verses of that poem do kind of go over their head because they think that it's actual people that I'm talking about, when really it's just personification of an era, and a place that I'm referring to. So I really appreciate you asking about asking about that. So if people do look at this interview and they do go listen to the album, they're able to listen to it with a different ear.
I don't know that I'm blind, so I can't really I don't really be seeing the comments in the bottom.
Um, But I'm glad that you I'm really glad that I was able to I hit at least on something that that you cared about, because your wordplay is amazing. I'm like,
Appreciate it.
sincerely speaking, I'm not I mean that, and I believe that your works, because I was actually, before I got on here, I was listening to Fear on your
Mhm.
old on your, I was like, wow,
Yeah.
this man is he's like that for real. I was like, he's like that. God dang. But yeah, no man, I was I'm really did want to say I am honored to have you here. I did want to go into the goal of the show, which is philanthropy, garnering
Mhm.
support from the audience and putting it towards a charity or nonprofit that you care about. What charity or nonprofit would you like to spotlight today? Give a shout out to, and why is the cause that it faces so important to you?
I think the nonprofit that I'm most in love with and the work that they do is one right down here in Dallas, Four Oak Cliff,
Yeah.
founded by Taylor Torrance. Sydney Chandler is a big part of that. Gabe Spade also is a big part of it as well. They do great things for the community. They have the back to school drive that they host every summer. They have food pantry. They're helping adults get their GEDs for free. So Fort Oak Cliff is really doing phenomenal work down here in Dallas, specifically South Dallas and Oak Cliff area, to help, help facilitate, kids, help facilitate adults, and just help build a better Dallas all the way around. So that is the nonprofit that I truly support. I stand behind, and I hope that everybody, look them up at Fort Oak Cliff on their Instagram, and just get involved if you can, even if it's volunteering, even if it's donations. They do great work down here in Dallas.
Hey man, I love it. I love it. I actually used to teach in Oak Cliff, funny enough.
Okay.
Um, yeah, man. I lived out in Dallas for 12 years. We'll talk later. We'll talk later. I'll say we'll talk later. Trust me. We'll talk. Give it a couple seconds. You're gonna remember who I am.
Yeah,
But I absolutely love Fort Oak Cliff. And everything that you said is absolutely true. They do amazing work for Oak Cliff. So you guys, please, this show is in fact dedicated to Fort Oak Cliff. Please make sure you guys, who are under the sound of our voices, if you can dedicate your time, energy, or attention to Fort Oak Cliff, please do. That is all we want. That is all we want. My brother, thank
absolutely.
you again for coming through. Before we close out, we like to leave with words of wisdom for the next generation. So I actually want to ask you this question because it goes along with a portion of our theme throughout this show. What words of wisdom would you have for someone who is in fact dealing with survivor's guilt?
I would just for them, I would say, don't think anything is by accident. Always feel that you're in a place that God has put you in for a reason. Uh, don't ever shy away from opportunity. Don't ever think that something is too big, no matter where you come from. If you come from, the worst inner city, if you come from trailer park, wherever you may come from, don't let that handcuff your thoughts. Don't let that keep you from striving and reaching for better opportunities, better goals for yourself. Don't ever let it stop you from dreaming, to reach levels, even if you haven't seen them, even if you haven't seen anybody around you reach the goal or reach the destination that you're trying to get to. That shouldn't stop you from desiring and wanting to be there. So I would just say continue to live in your gift, live in your purpose, and live in your dreams.
I love that one. Continue living your gift, living your purpose, and living your dreams. Calvin, we want to say thank you again so much for coming through this evening. We wish you nothing but success, peace, joy as you move through the world, and as you continue to live in your gift, your dreams, my brother. Thank you again, man.
I appreciate you. Thank you.
Ain't no thing. Those of y'all who were tuned in this evening, thank y'all so much for being here. I'm Eza Moon, Eza Moon _ on socials. Please, if you enjoy what's happening here, share this out. We are streaming this on the United Front Network. Make sure you guys shoot the United Front Network a follow as well. And yeah, we'll see you again next week, Wednesday, with another guest at the same time, same channel. Love you guys. Oh, sorry. I almost forgot. I'm Ezel Moon, and I'm not doing it unless it's fun and it helps people. Peace.